which is why I wanted her to bring it to me. So I don't know how long she's had it. She couldn't even remember.
Thanks,
so
buddy.
she's
Thank you.
So she's had this reverse mortgage for a while. It looked to me, based on the statement, that the interest rate was very, very low. But it's paying her only $1,800 a month, and she's. So a couple of things she said during the course of the conversation when I met with her. My mother came along with her. We're both friends, and she said, I'm looking to, I've got my 2 boys at home, which are my age, living at home. So she's looking at, what can and should she do in terms of looking at the reverse mortgage and maybe refinancing it, I guess, and looking at the annuity. I have no idea whether the annuity she bought into is.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
She did a lump sum annuity. She plunked down like $50-something thousand, and it's paying her X number, And,
sounds like a fixed immediate annuity.
yeah, and there's like apparently $20,000 left. She doesn't know if she should cash it out, if she should borrow against it, and again, I don't know any of this stuff either, so I'd like to come in and I told her, and I'll cover the fee for her because,
Well, let's see if there is a fee.
Yeah.
Maybe I can help, maybe I can't.
Well, there's a fee for your time to I don't know who, I'm sure we probably know people who do reverse mortgages, but I wasn't sure if that was something you're familiar with this, whether it's a good one, is it a
I would
crappy one?
probably say, I would check with a reverse mortgage expert.
Yeah.
Let's see, I don't know if you guys know one, I think I might.
Well, that lady, Mary Alice Cardenas, she was with us. She was.
Oh, that's right. I knew you would know somebody.
Yeah. Check with her on that, so
Okay.
that's what I would have done. The annuity, I'll take a look at that and see what makes sense. And hope, if it's a fixed immediate, there's not much probably to do, but if it's a very deferred, it depends. It's I don't know, whatever. So
What do you got for goodies?
I'm
Like,
I don't know, I'm
pretty spent after the last year.
I'll go back to my standard, bugaboo about investment advisory fees.
Well, you know
all
what,
that stuff.
Catherine was talking about, rolling 401ks into IRAs, and that not always the best
It's not
thing to do.
always, it's not the knee jerk, oh yeah, of course, if you leave your company and you've got a 401k, you should roll it into an IRA. And she had a list of 10 reasons why that might not be the best idea.
I agree.
I don't know if you know off the top of your head of reasons why someone.
Well, for one, if the 401k is a good plan, and it's being professionally managed, why manage an IRA yourself? You're going to have to pay an advisor or who knows what. And then the other thing is, once you've rolled it into an IRA, you can't take it from age 55 if you've left work. Once it's in an IRA, you can't touch it until you're 59 and a half. But if it's in a 401k and you quit, and the year you turn 55 or later, you keep it in there and take it early if you need to. And then the other is from an asset protection point of view, 401ks are under federal law. IRAs are under state law. Federal law is stronger for keeping it free from creditors.
Yeah.
And then possibly estate planning.
That's
some
for sure.
estate planning problems with keeping it in 401k.
Yeah.
It really comes down to mostly fees.
So we're going to do this tomorrow? That's that way.
Yes. Yes. I will, right? Oh, no, wait a minute. Is this the?
Oh, wait a minute. That's right. You already have the money.
Yeah, I've got it right before 71. Yeah, I was ready to do it today, but she said, not yet.
So I think you're going to ramble a little bit here on
Yeah,
the
let's
state
do
of
it.
the investment industry,
That
at
sounds
least
good.
from the stock and bond point of view, fees and everything else. So, a little disorganized today, but what about you?
I'm
about
just gonna wing it too.
Maybe we can talk about address the impact of rising interest rates on the real estate cycle.
Yes.
Okay.
And how that might, impact things or not impact things, or how people can do that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Let's see. Kind of to use these like a jump rope.
That's right.
And hopefully you're going to ask some baseball trivia questions and wake me up.
Oh, yes.
Although we did have a good
So
show.
if it goes back and forth from one ear to the other, don't fret. It did that on us last time. Sometimes
Yeah,
one ear would
it's
go
okay.
out.
It's okay for
It's
here.
okay
That's
on this thing.
important.
Yeah, we don't have to
Just
worry.
make sure that things
Stop
started.
and
Yes, it is.
record.
Okay. And let's see, Mike, I have here, when When does it make sense to have a Roth IRA?
When does it?
Yeah.
Does it ever make sense? Are they just
Yeah, you
stupid?
get into just generally Roth IRA stuff. And Mark, how often do you get repeat borrowers, and do you make them go through the same underwriting each time they desire a loan?
Ooh. We make them strip and do the colonoscopy every time, just because we like it.
Okay, are you Wascals ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910. I'm your host, Edward Brown. I'm proud to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, one of California's fastest growing mortgage investment firms, and financial and investment advisor Mike Zalin of Madrone Investment Advisory. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Now you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during this show. And the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. Those vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover the housekeeping expenses. And today we're just having miscellaneous trivia. I know you wanted baseball, but today's just going to be miscellaneous trivia.
Break my heart.
Yeah. All right. So, Mike, you got some good stuff for us.
Oh, yeah. I ran across a fantastic article called The Percentage-Based Advisory Fee, Why It Leads to High Costs and Conflicts of Interest. And I know it's a fantastic article because I wrote it.
Yeah, there you go. I love the title.
And yeah, I thought I would sum up my thoughts on fees, on what investors pay, where did this come from, does it make sense, is it changing? Basically, like anything else, the investment advisory field is really evolving, much like the travel agent field, much like many industries that now are really susceptible to automation to some degree. So you're seeing the rise of, quote, robo-advisors who pretty much put together baskets of index funds and do it for typically around 30 basis points. So that's 1/3 of 1%. And they're, if I've talked many times about index funds versus actively managed funds. I'm of the belief that, almost all investors are better off in an index fund portfolio versus the actively managed portfolio. Whether they should be in stocks and bonds in the first place is a whole different question. But if they are going to be in those, generally I would say they're going to generally have lower risk, lower fees, more diversification, and probably over the long run better performance than an actively managed portfolio. And that's the result. That's the conclusion of hundreds of studies that have been done. Warren Buffett feels that way. I mean, it's not really. There really are two schools of investors: ones who discovered that, and ones who will discover that.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned about the robo investing. Just talk a little bit about that and the advantage or disadvantage.
Well, one of the main advantages is that you can get a professionally managed, rebalanced portfolio for maybe around 1/3 of a percent. I mean, it depends. The fees are all over the place. Like anything else, there are always people taking advantage of people's belief that the fees will be low and then making the fees higher, and then you've lost the advantage. But I would generally say, it's somewhere around 1/3 of a percent. However, I'm not sure that those companies are making money yet, the bigger ones. It's a newer field, and of course they have lots of upfront costs in getting the message out. But eventually, over time, I think that's what we're going to see.
What's the idea? You basically say I've got a risk tolerance between 1 to 9 of 8.
Yeah. It's fairly computerized.
So is it just when you say robo-advisor, are they just using an algorithm to determine based on your age and income how you should have how your portfolio should be balanced?
Well, your age and your risk tolerance. I mean, depending on what you're, where you are, what you want, and I'm not really, I'm not an expert on them, but the general idea is you're going to get automated investment management. The problem is, and you're going to get it at a lower fee than typically the going 1 to 1.5% that the active investment advisors charge. Now we're also seeing active investment advisors charging 1% and then putting their clients into automated portfolios too, and which begs the question of then what are you paying for in terms of the excess? Now here's the problem with robo-advisors, and that is the investment portfolio itself is not enough. People need much more than that. They need behavioral coaching. They need to know which assets go in which accounts, what are the tax implications, what are the estate planning implications, what if I want to pay down my mortgage, where does Social Security come into this? Lots of things that probably are even as or more important than the portfolio itself. So the portfolio should really be seen as one piece of a larger task, really. So the question then is, what should you be paying for? And I think you should really be paying for that excess in terms of all the financial planning advice that you need.
But now you don't charge based on a percentage of the portfolio.
No, I charge a flat fee. The charging an asset under management fee to me has always created a conflict of interest, because if I'm charging a percentage, what incentive do I have to tell my client, you know what, you're really better off paying down your mortgage. You're really better off buying an annuity because I've lost the assets.
Yeah.
So it's never really made sense to me to do it that way.
But I know how they sell it, though. They sell it, hey, our interests are aligned because the more money I make you, the more I make myself.
Which begs the question of, if you need that to align your interests, that just highlights the fact that the interests weren't aligned to begin with. If you go to a CPA and he does your taxes, he's not saying, you know what, I want 1% of how much you made last year in order for me to be aligned.
Not allowed to.
He's not allowed to.
Yeah.
So he's acting as a fiduciary, I believe.
Yeah.
If you go to an estate planning attorney and you have a $5 million portfolio, he or she isn't saying, I want 1% of what I put into your revocable trust. They're saying, you know what, I charge an hourly fee. It's a profession. And I believe that financial planning and investment management should not exactly be done on an hourly fee basis, but something similar to it, I would say.
But you made a really good point about the like paying down a mortgage. You know, that goes directly against the assets under management that would be earned. So I mean, they actually have a disincentive to.
I think they do.
Recommend that.
I think they do. And so I think when you're charging more of a flat fee, just basically saying how much time and how much liability do I take on for managing some of this. I think you have to find a fine line, because if you're just doing it on an hourly basis, the other problem is who's going to call whom. If the client says to him or herself, "Oh, I don't want to call," they'll just, there'll be more fees. So then, and then I'm not calling because I don't want the client to think, "Oh, they're just trying to increase billable time here."
Yeah.
So I've often found the compromise to just be having a flat fee that roughly takes into account all of those, gives the client what they need, and yet is much less expensive generally than the assets under management model. Mine typically, if I were to, roughly around 0.4, maybe 0.45% overall.
Okay, so you know, let's say comparing you to the Robo. I mean, Robo is, let's say, a third, as you said, 0.33, let's call it. And if you're at 0.4, 0.45, I mean, that's kind of almost negligible. But then they get the personal assistance, and you're going to give them other advice. That's
exactly, yeah. And I think that people think, oh, I'll just get it automated, my investment advice, but that's the least of it. That's really the least of it. I cannot tell you how many people I've seen who've come in who have made huge mistakes in investing that had nothing to do with the portfolio itself. To some degree, they did have something to do with it in the sense of fees, but they were poor decisions made on other products, or not having the right assets in the right accounts, or not thinking through the long-term capital gains issues, or with the order of, should I be contributing to an IRA, to a Roth?
Yeah.
Where should all this go?
Well, a lot of times people, they just assume they'll ask their CPA that question, and you know, the CPAs only know so much, and you know,
exactly.
I've heard from a couple of clients who I've referred to you who've been extremely happy. So, thank you for taking care of my clients. By the way,
they were baseball fans. So
yeah, exactly. So
yes.
by the way, we'll get into this again, but if people are listening right now and they want to write your number down, and how to get a hold of you?
Sure, I can be reached at 415-785-4585.
Okay, tell you what, we're going to come to our first commercial break here, and we're talking miscellaneous trivia. All right, here's our first question. Which European country was the first to make lace? The third caller with the correct answer is going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Which European country was the first to make lace? All right, sorry it's not a baseball question, but that's the way it goes. Stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing.
Which country? Edward, where do you come up with this?
These questions?
Yeah. And they're not even
Um,
trivia questions, they're almost impossible questions.
Well, there was a time when what was
Who
going
could
on.
possibly know that? Like,
Some people do.
I mean,
So
a
I asked
textile
some
expert
questions.
could possibly know that.
Yeah, well, you know what, I was
Some
asking.
people do. Find me a single, I will give you $1,000 if one person that you ask all day today in San Rafael, anybody on the corner knows that answer.
Well, there was a time. Here's
Am
the
I on
deal.
record here?
Yes. No, but yes.
Am I getting aggravated? Yeah, I want to
No,
be
no.
able to answer some of these
Well,
things.
no, okay, so here.
You should hear the one before that.
Yeah.
It's about the, I won't say it was about the
The
national bird,
of India.
Yeah.
national bird of India.
Well, what was going on
Is that in Tamil province or Madras? Just kidding.
Ask Mr.
And you have to
Hickman.
say it in Cantonese, not Mandarin. Cantonese.
It's the
No,
Punjaba.
yeah, but no, what was going on was our audience is growing, and so if I ask questions that are a little too easy, I get inundated with phone calls.
Well, that can't happen.
That can't happen. I got better things to do
I
with
can't
my
have
time. So I got to make it a little bit more challenging, and also if you make it too easy, people are just kind of like, yeah.
I'm tempted to
like,
go on
You just go
Facebook
to
and tell them
Google.
all the answer right now.
What are we talking about in
Don't do
segment
it.
two?
Yeah, well, you're on with, I don't know, rising interest rates, not rising interest rates, whatever.
What's happening in, you can just do some more. What's happening in real estate this
All right.
week?
Sounds good. You okay?
Oh, let's go get some water, that's okay.
You want to just?
Hey,
I
there's
can
one-
just get,
you know,
I just get,
There's a lot of,
Can you go get some
people
water?
offering 12%
It's a-
for
I'll live.
10%. I mean, maybe we could talk about some of the.
I'm gonna complain to the union.
Differently, why it's better to be.
I'll let you answer my question.
I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation about.
Okay. Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hom and Mike Zablin. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this hard trivia question: which European country was the first to make lace? And it's not an oddball country.
Belgium.
That's an oddball one. No,
Germany.
Italy. So you guys ever heard of Italy?
That was only 500 miles away.
Yeah, that's true, but you were in Europe, so that was good.
Edward, did you find that out when you just went to Italy?
Actually, I did.
We can't let him travel
On a
anymore.
tour, they actually said, and we're the country that invented lace.
Well, actually, what happened was I was on a ship, and they had the trivia contest. So I said, hey, I like that one. Like last week, we had a question: what's the only letter in the alphabet that's not in the periodic table of elements for chemistry? The letter J. That's kind of fun. It's a normal letter. It's just kind of interesting. Okay, let's get into some serious stuff here. Mark, what's going on in real estate?
Well, the most interesting thing that's happening in real estate is that not a lot has been changing this year. So, we're now in the second half of 2015. I think I'm saying that. In fact, we're in August now. We're well into the second.
August 15th.
We're well into the third quarter. So, it's been really interesting. I've been following, of course, Case-Shiller Real Estate Price Index, which is one of the most widely followed pricing indexes in the country, and they measure all the metropolitan areas throughout the country. They have a national figure, and then they've got the 10 city and the 20 city, and they also give, of course, individual areas like the San Francisco Bay Area. And I keep, reading the latest report and wondering when I'm going to start seeing the San Francisco Bay Area year-over-year rate decline. And it's virtually unchanged except for some insignificant upward and downward tick marks from roughly 10%. I think the most recent report that came out at the end of July said it was 9.7. Well, I don't think that real estate has that, accurate. I don't think that level of accuracy even really exists. So I'm calling that 10%. All the way back in January, when we were doing the beginning of the year shows, we were looking back at what the year-over-year rate was. It was 10% back then. It's been 10% since the fourth quarter of 2014. The rate of appreciation, that is. So we're still seeing pricing going up in the Bay Area at an average of a 10% appreciation rate. So is that good? Is that sustainable? When is that going to change? The problem is that a lot of people have opinions, but not a lot of people have very good crystal balls. Witness what happened in 2008 2007, 8, 9 when the real estate market crashed, and many extremely smart people lost their entire fortunes. So I get asked that question all the time. You know, if Mark, if I invest in your mortgage pool fund, which we have at Pacific Private Money, it's one of our products that's paying 8% on an annualized basis currently. They ask me, virtually every investor who comes in to write a check says, so what do you think is happening with the real estate market? And, you know, is my investment going to be secure? What if, mortgage rates go up, or what happens when mortgage rates go up? And, you know, where do you see housing prices going in the near future? So, you know, that's a conversation that is happening pretty much everywhere in the country right now. And particularly here in the Bay Area, we're wondering how long this 10% appreciation ride is going to last, and what would have to happen for that to change, for that to go down, for that to decrease, or in worst case scenario actually go down, or could have price pullbacks in the Bay Area. So, you know, let's just talk about that for a moment. So, you know, what's driving real estate prices right now? So we've got lack of inventory, correct?
Correct.
We've got jobs, that very, very low unemployment rate,
Yeah.
high-paying jobs, a thriving tech sector where
And international money coming in.
So the fact that we're not building homes at a rate even approaching, I mean, we're at a fraction of the development that was going on in 2004 and 5. And interestingly enough, I really don't quite understand why many of those developments that were stopped or stalled aren't being built right now, because clearly there's a demand for housing in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Mark,
Probably permit fees.
did you mention cheap money as a factor in all this too?
Oh, good point.
Low interest,
Yeah.
artificially low interest rates that make bonds very unappealing and push and force people to invest in real assets, whether that's real estate or stocks or other types of items.
Right, no, you're absolutely right. So we know we believe the Fed is going to raise interest rates, which will have an impact on mortgage rates if history is any indication. So we're expecting mortgage rates to go up. Some believe that interest rates a year from today may be around 5. Today they're 4. If you go back and take a 25, 30, 40-year weighted average, you'd see that mortgage rates were between 6 and 8% on average. So it's likely that we're going to head in that direction again. So what does that do to real estate prices? Well, interestingly enough, if you look back historically on when interest rates go up, initially housing prices continue to go up, and there continues to be strong demand. It's not until it gets to a certain point where the affordability index starts to go negative.
Is that because people are going, oh, we got to quickly get
Yes,
it? Okay.
that's exactly it. It's all the pent-up demand, comes, those who are on the sidelines for whatever reason find a way to make it happen. And
Yeah.
they go and
They
jump in.
don't want to lose before the rates get too high.
One question I have is, were those other periods similar to this one where housing prices have already gone up 50 or 60%?
Well, that's a good point, because every real estate recession has been based on different variables. In fact, that's the only thing that's consistent, is that every time we have a recession, it's triggered by a different set of variables, and that's why every recession looks a little bit different, and every real estate recovery looks a little bit different. So you're absolutely right. Once mortgages start to go up to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8, and there's no reason other than artificially keeping them low that they wouldn't go back to those numbers again. And if that, when that happens, if and when that happens, are we going to see pullback on pricing? And I think it's very possible. The other thing that could happen, and again, I'm not predicting this to happen, but what if somebody with influence in the marketplace wakes up one morning and goes, you know what, I just can't believe the valuation that these tech companies are achieving. Every other new startup's worth $1 billion. There's unicorns flying everywhere, and all of a sudden starts a trend where people go, yeah, that's right. These stock prices are crazy. These are insane. That a tech crash or tech correction would obviously have an impact in the Bay Area on housing prices, because a lot of what's happening in the real estate universe, particularly in San Francisco down to Silicon Valley, is really based on people making a lot of money and having a lot of cash and wanting to invest in real estate right now.
And where does a severe slowdown in China potentially figure into that too?
Well, that's another interesting variable. The challenge with predicting what anything is going to happen, what's going to happen in the economy and in real estate, is because there are so many variables, and that any number of factors can contribute to cause real estate to go one way or the other. One thing I will say, and this is a plus for real estate regardless of what happens, is that nothing ever happens in real estate fast. So, it's even if pricing were to pull back, say a year from now, for whatever reason, either higher prices or a stock market correction, remember how long it took for the real estate prices to adjust last time? It didn't happen in 2007. It started happening in 2007 and stopped happening right around 2010. I mean, it was a 3-year process that we were heading downhill. And yes, that impacted a lot of people negatively, but there were also people who were making money in real estate. So
I go 2011 in that period.
Oh yeah.
Okay, guys, we're going to cut to our second commercial break, which, by the way, Mike Zablin, thoughts for the day that'll come at the end. I did put some baseball in there because I know you love baseball. Mike's like me. We love baseball. And it is summertime. Okay, here's the second trivia question. What is the only word in the English dictionary ending with the letters MT? The third caller with the correct answer going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What is the only word in the English dictionary ending with the letters MT? Which, by the way, I did know this one. Stay with us. The Best of Investing. I'll be right back.
The answer to this one.
Oh, yeah. When we were on the boat, I knew that one. I know the answer to that one.
MT.
We can get right into email on this one.
Yeah. You hit Mike first.
Winston Churchill once said, he has none of the virtues, he has all the virtues I dislike and none of the vices I admire.
Yes, I like that one. That's good. MT.
Oh, I thought you were looking on your phone.
You got this one? You figured it out?
I actually knew this one. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, I was on a team on the boat. We got 13 out of 15 correct. I was with some really smart people. And there were some questions that were like, what? There was like a thing on Shakespeare that it's like, I never heard of any of this thing.
Either really smart or they were.
Well, they were from England.
Alex Trebek nerds.
Yeah, that's what it really was. All right, you got your water. Get back behind the camera.
Yes, dear.
All right, and away we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn and Mike Zablin. When we cut to the second commercial break, we ask this trivia question. What is the only word in the English dictionary ending with the letters MT?
Stumped.
Stumped. No, that's not the answer. That does not end in MT. Dreamt. D-R-E-A-M-T.
You said you got that.
I did get that one. Okay. I dream a lot. So, okay, Mark, we have a question from a listener. It says here, how often do you get repeat borrowers, and do you make them go through the same underwriting each time they desire a loan?
Good question. So at Pacific Private Money, we make privately funded loans to real estate investors and consumers. Our hallmark is that we do fast, friendly, and reliable financing with price integrity, meaning the price we quote is the price we deliver. And we do that here in the Bay Area mostly. We're a local lender, lending on local real estate, and we use generally local investors who invest in our mortgage products. So Many of our borrowers, yes, are in fact repeat. Now, on the consumer side, we don't have a lot of repeat business. So when we do a consumer bridge loan for someone who wants who needs fast financing to capture a real estate deal, that's normally not a repeat client. But real estate investors, flippers, contractors, many times they are repeat. So the first time we work with a client, we do like to collect a pretty thorough package on them. Now, we don't always generally like request tax returns, for example, unless we're really having trouble wrapping our arms around how they make money. But generally speaking, if they have a down payment, we do pull their credit, we do a background check, we do get bank statements, proof of funds, all that. We look at income, but we don't dig anywhere near as deeply as a bank might, and we certainly don't make it as a painful process as many do in the mortgage industry. And again, I'm not dissing the mortgage industry as much as I'm dissing the conventional lenders who just really have pretty high demands nowadays for information from you before they'll make you a loan. Now, once we have a file created on a borrower, we will want to update that periodically, maybe twice a year. But we have many clients that come back to us over and over and over again. They borrow money, they remodel a house, they flip it, they sell it within 3 to 6 months, they come back to get another loan. We generally don't run them through that process. In fact, it's much easier once they've done a deal with us. And in fact, I think most companies in this industry are that way. Once you're a proven client and a repeat client, that's actually a good thing in our industry. We don't get caught up with how much real estate do you own and how many loans do you have and all that stuff, unless you're not making the interest payments on it.
Yeah.
And usually we can pretty much find that out on your credit report. So yes, we love repeat borrowers. And now, granted, many people, including real estate investors, outgrow the need for our product because, again, it's not inexpensive money. So the more successful some of our rehabbers and real estate investors have become, they've attracted their own private lenders. So it's not unusual for the genesis of a real estate investor to be you use hard money in your first several or many deals, and then as you make profits, you reinvest those profits and either you be your own funding source or you attract your own private individual lenders who joint venture with you at a lesser cost.
Mark, I have a question. It seems to me there are generally two groups of investors who use your services. That one would be rehabbers and house flippers, I guess, for lack of a better term, and the other is people who simply need a short-term loan but who are planning to stay in that home for many years. Is that a fair characterization? Are there other groups, or would you say that those two groups are about equally split, or what?
Well, it's definitely split between flippers, if you want to just call all, and that would include contractors, real estate investors, people who are investing in real estate. And usually when you use hard money, it's mostly to flip property. You usually don't use a hard money loan to buy property for rental income, but some do. And then the other one would be consumers who need a bridge loan, or sometimes it's a probate situation. But yeah, normally on the consumer side, it is short term. We're not really a subprime lender per se, because we don't do a lot of 30-year loans, but we can do them. And sometimes people make enough money where they can't get bank financing, they want a 30-year.
But sometimes you run into people who just don't like dealing with banks. Maybe they have a complicated tax return, or they're just tired of dealing with, Mr. Jones, please explain why there's a $325 deposit in your account last month.
Exactly. And so, well, you're right. And we do have some real estate investors and other borrowers that they just appreciate the ease of which you can borrow money.
Well, Mark, I have a question on the home flippers. How would a decline in prices affect their ability to pay, to continue making payments, and how dependent are the flippers on rising prices? The reason I ask is because nothing goes up forever. What if prices were to drop 10%? How would that stay down 10% for 2 years? How would that impact? How would that impact the clients that you see?
So the real estate investors or flippers that we make loans to, most of the time they have in the budget for that project. They're gonna buy it, they're gonna remodel it, they're gonna hold it for a period of time. While they remodel it, they're gonna put it on the market for sale. It'll take some time to sell it. Then ultimately it's going to sell to an end buyer. That process can take anywhere from 3 months for a relatively fast flip to a year or longer. Now, we are usually looking at the borrowers who come to us to make sure that they have the capacity to make the monthly payments, or we can bake in the interest into the loan. We've done that as well, much like a construction loan where you've got an interest reserve. Now, when we make a loan, we're not doing 100% financing. We're working with people who have either their own capital or they have an equity partner already lined up, because we're generally only coming in at 70% of the purchase price, and they're coming in with a 30% down, plus they've got their remodel budget already identified elsewhere. So if prices go down, first of all, they're improving the property, so they're likely to get a higher resale than what they bought it for, but they may not get as much as they hope to get. So we want our borrowers to make a profit, but they don't have to make a profit for us to be protected. They could sell the home break even, they could sell the home at a loss, they could sell the home at a substantial loss, and if we've done our work correctly, and we try very hard to do that, we're at an exposure at no more than 70% of acquisition, and generally as they're improving it, that percentage goes down. In fact, more often than not, when someone has that home on the market, by that time our exposure is between 60 and 40% on the value. So really it'll be the longer projects. If we loan to somebody who's doing an 18-month project, for example, and there are some San Francisco projects, if they want to add square footage, they know that they're going to, maybe they're putting a third floor on a unit. We have a loan right now that we just extended that looks like it's going to probably run 24 months. Now we're still in a rising San Francisco market, so they're not concerned. But if we were making that loan today, I would have pause about what are their assumptions about how much they're going to get per square foot and how fast it's going to sell.
Why is that one being extended?
It's taken them longer to get permission to put the additional floor on that home. So it's a home with a garage and then a living unit above on the first floor, and then they want to add a floor above that, because all the houses around them in that neighborhood are all 3 levels, including the garage.
And did you charge them additional fees to extend?
It was because he's a good client, and we charged basically a documentation fee to extend that for 12 months.
Oh, nice.
It's good for the investors, it's good for the borrower, and we try not to be greedy. There are companies that will charge, at or near full freight like it was a new loan.
Which isn't necessarily unfair, because in theory they should have paid you off and you would have been able to flip that money to another.
That's exactly
client.
right.
Okay, we're going to cut to our third final commercial break. When we come back, we have an email here for Mr. Zadlin that discusses Roth IRAs. Okay, here's third final trivia question. What is the only animal in the world in which the male gives birth? Mark knows that one. Okay. The third caller with the correct answer is going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What is the only animal in the world in which the male gives birth? Stay with us. We're going to be coming right back with Mike Zadlin. You're listening to The Best of Investing.
I'll go on a little more about fees too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting.
Homosexual?
Quema.
Not yet. Soon.
Yeah, really.
Soon. Coming soon on the way. A worm?
We'll let Mark surprise us all with the answer.
It's funny. I don't know any asset class in stocks, real estate, where the majority has ever predicted prices to go down, ever, in any year. Like if you read the Barron's roundtable,
Interesting.
how are stocks going to do this year? No, we think
only
only
be
about
a 5%,
5-6%. The others are like, we think 10. Those are the choices.
Right.
It's never negative. And I think the same is true of real estate.
It is.
Nobody's
It's either
ever
5% or 10%.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Or
never
flat.
49 out of 50 economists in 2007 predicted real estate could go up in 2008. 49 out of 50. And it's like,
That's
worthless.
just nuts.
It's just worthless. But
Yeah.
I actually think they will probably go up a little, at least generally around. I hate to say it, 5%.
Yeah.
Well, because of just what you said, you've got all those factors. Some are in favor, some push up, some push down. The majority seem to push up.
Oh, we got a long segment here.
Let's yuck it up. Let's lighten the mood.
Where was the baseball question?
It's not a baseball question. It's I thought today.
His parting
But it's
shots.
somebody you feel. I'm sorry.
I don't like that.
Okay, I'll next time we'll do baseball for you. All right, here we go.
That's the reason I come here.
I know.
I'll start.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. No, yeah. Okay, you ready, Mr. Kramer?
Ready.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf and Mike Zabel. And when we cut to the third commercial break, we asked this trivia question: what is the only animal in the world in which the male gives birth?
Seahorse.
Seahorse. That is correct. Very
Is
good.
that actually an animal or a fish?
It's still, yeah, fish is an animal, isn't it?
No, I was thinking of mammal.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say mammal. No, I said animal.
Living thing.
Living thing, yeah, which technically though does not make it the female. How can they tell the difference between the two? I don't know all that stuff. Okay.
Somebody looked, I guess.
Yeah, I really. Okay. Let's see. And Mike, listener, writes in and says, because he knows what you do for a living here, when does it make sense to have a Roth IRA?
It makes sense generally. Of course, everything is general, unless it's specific, but you don't know the person. But it makes sense to have a Roth, to contribute to a Roth when you're in a very low tax bracket. The general rule is you contribute to a Roth when you're in a lower tax bracket now than when you're going to be withdrawing the money. And it makes sense to contribute to an IRA, regular IRA, or 401k, when you're in a higher tax bracket now and a lower tax bracket when you're going to be withdrawing the money, because you will be paying with an IRA lower taxes than what you saved when you contributed.
And the magic question is, how do you know what tax rate you're going to be when you take
The
that
magic
money?
answer is you don't,
No.
but you make some assumptions. If you are paying, you're in an extremely low tax bracket or a zero bracket, and you have a choice, you always contribute to the Roth, because the odds, it would almost be impossible that you could be in a lower tax bracket
Yeah.
than that in retirement. And when you're in a very high tax bracket now, you almost always contribute to an IRA, because the amount that you save with the tax deduction is essentially an interest-free loan from the government that you may never even have to pay back.
Gotcha.
The worst case is you'd have to pay it back at the same tax rate, but you've at least got 20 or 30 years of having used it tax-free. For
Yeah.
example, let's say you could contribute $10,000 to a 401k. You're in a 30% bracket. You're saving $3,000 in taxes. You invest that for 30 years. That produces X returns, and then the government says, okay, give us our 30% back that we get, and only 30% of what you made on your investments, right?
Yeah.
So you've got the greatest of all gifts, a tax-free loan that you can invest that you can keep 2/3 of later on. With a Roth, like I said, if you're in a low tax bracket now, the odds are you're not going to be in a lower one in retirement. The other reason that also favors an IRA over a Roth contribution is when you make an IRA contribution, you've locked in that tax savings right away.
Yeah.
And you've essentially purchased a 20 or 30-year option to convert it to a Roth when the opportunity is favorable.
Oh, that's a good point.
So let's say you contribute to an IRA because you realize, well, gee, I'm in a high tax bracket now, I'll probably be in a lower one in retirement. What happens if over the next 20 years you have a year where you've lost money, didn't have income, something happened, and you can now convert your IRA to a Roth, thereby completely eliminating the obligatory return of the government loan, so to speak. So you are getting a 20 or 30 year option. Now, granted, in most cases, people don't have that come up. They work, they have high income.
Sure.
If that's the case. But you you're torn, if you're a little torn, keep in mind that you have, when you make an IRA contribution, you have, or 401k, you have also purchased or been given free an option to convert to a Roth if times are favorable.
That's a very interesting point.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Something to
Michael,
think
are
about.
most Roth IRAs self-directed, or is self-direction completely different from whether you have a Roth or a traditional IRA or a SEP IRA or 401k?
Yeah, I think it's they fall into the same category in the sense of they need to be invested, and somebody needs to be advising on it, or the person needs to educate themselves. 401k plans, of course, usually have specific investment choices, but IRAs tend to be anything, anytime. They have the whole universe of products to buy, whereas 401ks tend to have a menu of investment choices.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question about the Roth. If someone can, the difference between, let's say the person has a Roth and passes on, and the money's going to go to the kids, does it still retain?
Yes,
Still retains.
It retains its tax-free. The distributions will still be tax-free, at least under the current law. Of course, there's always someone saying, "Let's tax them." Surprise. So what would happen is a Roth would be inherited. There would be required minimum distributions if the person inheriting it was not the surviving spouse, because the surviving spouse, unless he or she is 70 and a half, or the person leaving it was 70 and a half, would probably not have to take mandatory distributions until that time. But for anyone else, let's say a parent leaves a Roth IRA to a child, that child will have to take minimum distributions right away for the rest of their life. However, they won't be taxed under current law.
Oh, interesting. And when you convert to an IRA, to a Roth, basically you just put it on your tax return
Yes.
as like ordinary income.
It's taxed as ordinary income. So, for example, if you have $20,000 in your IRA, you convert it to a Roth, it would be essentially the same as if you would withdraw it.
Gotcha.
Except that there's no penalty if
penalty.
you're under 59 and a half. Now, one thing to remember with the Roth is there are no required minimum distributions. So when you turn 70 and a half, you've got an IRA or 401k and you're not working there anymore, you're going to have to make required minimum distributions. If it's a Roth, you don't. What that means is that Roth can grow tax or can grow devoid of having anything taken from it, any distributions for another 20 or 25 years. And so let's say you had 500,000 in it at age 70. If it compounded at 7%, that could be about $1.5 million by age 90. You're not using it. You've left that as an inheritance for your child. And given that the estate tax exemption for couples is around $11 million, that's a nice thing to be able to leave a child who's in a high tax bracket, and who, had they been left the IRA, would not only have been left much less because the parents would have had to have taken RMDs, but also, let's say that adult child is in their 40s or 50s, as a high-paying profession, they're going to be paying about 50-55% on those required distributions if it's in an IRA, but not if it's in a Roth. So,
It's a lot. I understand what you're talking about. I hope the audience does. But for more information, how do people get hold of you?
That can be reached at 415-785-4585.
Okay, that's Mike Zaidlin from the Drone Investment Advisory. Mark, we forgot to give out your information with the borrower question.
Of course. So for information about private money lending or mortgage investing, if you're interested in learning more how to earn 8% or more on your money with safety and security features that we're willing to and happy to share with you how hundreds of investors have been investing with Pacific Private Money and doing very, very well with their IRA, 401k, and regular savings. So Pacific Private Money is 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150, or our website, of course, pacificprivatemoney.com.
How many investors in the fund right now?
We're at 70.
And how many people have added to their investment since they've been getting decent
More than
distributions?
half.
Wow.
Yeah,
More than half has been invested, and then somebody said, "Hey, this is about the best thing out there. I'm going to add some more to it." Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty common in investments like this. You start out with some start at the minimum or some amount around there. Maybe they'll put in $100,000, and then after several months, and they see those checks rolling in, they see my newsletters, and they see the types of loans that we're making here in the Bay Area
feel
with
more
that money,
comfortable.
they feel more comfortable. They
Yeah.
start adding a little bit more, a little bit more.
Do you have any deal of the week to share with us?
The deal of the week, well, it's not so much the deal of the week, because again, I've got a team of people that are working at Pacific Private Money that are, answering the phones, listening to loan scenarios. Really, it's mostly what's the most, popular loan product we have right now, and that is these short-term bridge loans that allow people to make offers on property and buy a home before they sell their existing home. That's really that's the most popular now, because it used to be that you could buy a second home pretty easily. If you had a home and you had good credit, and you had the down payment, you could buy the target home first, and then sell your existing home using bank financing.
Do you guys remember the old days when you could easily make a contingent offer? Hey, I'll buy your house, but only after mine sells.
Right. So you have a
that's
situation,
it,
you have a marketplace now where most sellers or their listing agents anyway, won't bother with your offer if it's contingent upon the sale of your home. And you don't want to sell your home first and then move twice. So what do? Well, what you do is you use a private money loan to acquire the target property, the house, whether you're moving up or moving down. We do both with many of our clients right now. And you use it costs what it costs. It's 10% money on the note rate, and 2 to 3 points depending on the size of the loan. But you really have to look at that as just being an increased cost of the target property. If there's a property you really, really want, and you want an option, it's a great option. I mean, bank financing is always going to be cheaper than private money, always. But if it's a question of you can't buy the property using bank financing because they won't give you another mortgage until you sell your existing home, well, then a plan B option is for you to use a private money loan to close, and our loans have no prepayment penalty. So yes, the interest rate's 10%, but you can pay it off in 60, 90 days.
Very good. Mike, I know you wanted to touch on fees one more time.
Oh, I was just going to mention, one of the things about fees is when people hear, well, this mutual fund costs 1.25%, or my advisors charge me 1%. Those fees always sound so low. Whenever I hear 1%, I think 20%, and here's why. Let's say you have a trust, or you're living in retirement, and let's say you have $1 million portfolio, and you've got a very conservative portfolio of bonds and maybe a little bit of stocks, and you're hoping or planning, or it is happening, you're getting, say, 5%, something conservative like that, something probably conservative. That's $50,000. But if your fees, between advisory fees and mutual fund fees, are 2%, and believe me, there are a lot that are more than that, those fees are going to be $20,000. So your income is 50, and your fees are 20, so that's 40%. Your income went down from 50,000 to 30,000. You lost 40% of your income. So that's what I tell people when they think, oh, yeah, 1%, that doesn't sound too high. Keep in mind that it's your returns are, you hope, 60-40 stock bond portfolios have historically returned maybe 6-7%, but in a lower interest rate environment, you have to assume less. Of course, they can always go down, but that's really what's going on. And that's why you shouldn't think in percentages.
Yeah, well, and if you go from 6% down to 5%, that's a huge difference. I thought when you were going to say 20%, you're going to go 1%, and if you hire that person for 20 years,
right?
That's another way to look at
Absolutely.
it, and it's on an increasing value.
So fees can take at least 30 to 40. I mean, not at least, but generally can take 30 to 40% of everything you make in the market,
and
even when they're only 2%.
I was going to say, there's always going to be some kind of fee, even in the index fund.
Of course, I charge fees.
You charge
Everybody
fees.
Vanguard charges fees.
Exactly.
But the fees should, I think, instead of being 2%, I think that if you're getting the right financial planning advice and you're in the right funds, no more than 0.5% total between what you pay your advisor and what your fees are, because I think that's the only way that investors can really ever get value for what they pay.
Gotcha. And index funds generally, what are the fees?
They should be around 0.1%.
Yeah.
You can usually get all the funds you need for around that price.
Pretty good.
So there are plenty of index funds that charge 1%, because it's fashionable to say, oh yeah, we're an index fund, but you'd be amazed. There are plenty of index funds charging 1%. So you have to look at it and you have to know it. And when you're charging 2%, it's very difficult to give the client value for their money.
Yeah.
Very difficult, even for the most knowledgeable and experienced tax and estate and real true wealth managers and financial planners. That's hard to provide value to the client.
Even though the indexes right now aren't breathtaking for year to date, yeah, I mean, you're really talking about long-term investing, and over time, historically, the indexes have, as you just pointed out, have provided a healthy return. So, all of that notwithstanding, a properly balanced portfolio, index funds are really the way to go.
If you're going to be in the markets at all, the markets are risky always, and especially for short-term investors. So that's why not everybody should be in the market. Some people should be in CDs, annuities. I mean, many clients who say, I just cannot handle it going down at all. Everybody has a different risk tolerance, and they're not right for everybody.
And index funds can go down.
That's true.
Will go down.
Yeah, will go down. Do you have many people who want to market time, want to get in and out of these funds?
Yeah, I don't. I think it's like Winston Churchill once said. Long-term buy and hold is the worst form of investing, except for all the others. Someone once said also, more damage has been done by people trying to time the market than was ever done by a market crash.
Interesting. Well, yeah, if you look at history, if you miss just a few of the really good days, that has a profound impact.
John Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, said he, in 60 years on being on Wall Street, had never actually met anyone who had successfully timed markets consistently over a long period of time. So if John Bogle hasn't met anybody like that, I'm not going to.
Not too bad.
Yeah, you really just need to play the market for the long term.
I think it's not that that's a guarantee, but I think it's your only hope.
Yeah, but you know what I like, Mark, with what you do with doing the loans. I like the short-term part because if interest rates go up, you don't want to necessarily be locked into a low interest rate as an investor.
That's right. So we hedge our risk by making the short-term loans.
Yeah.
So even at 10%, yeah, that's expensive money. But what if we have a revisit of the 80s where interest rates went up to 18%? So we hedge that by making short-term loans that we know we can get paid off very shortly.
And if for some reason rates came down, which again, he used to do loans at 12%. Rates came down to 10%. But that's not the worst thing in the world. I don't think people are complaining about a 10% interest rate, which again, you have your fees. Well, let's put it this way: you're paying 8% to your clients. They're not complaining, are they?
Well, no, and private money loans are a tool more than to be looked at like financing comparable to a mortgage. Yes, it's secured like a mortgage, but it's really a tool. It's a means to an end. Again, it's generally short term. We're not intended to be a replacement, for the subprime lending industry, which, for all intents and purposes, no longer exists.
Very good. All right, gentlemen, thank you again. Always producing a good show with you guys here. Here's our sports thoughts for the day.
Ooh.
Casey Stengel said, most games are lost, not won. Kind of reminds me of the investment thing. And Reggie Jackson said, fans don't boo nobodies. Which is true,
Wow.
right? You always hear that, guy up at the plate, nobody says anything because they never heard of the guy, right? You get Reggie Jackson, he had a lot of boos, a lot of cheers too. All right, tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away some more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long. Now that it's 6 o'clock, now that no air conditioning.
Oh,
The
That's the
real great quote on baseball is it's a round ball and a round bat. And you got to hit it square.
Yeah.